Welcome, Tiny Hands, Big Dreams, here in southern Ecuador. I talked before in some of my videos about winching stumps. It's part of clearing. We're not using heavy equipment really, but we're doing everything manually by hand ourselves, trying to be self-sufficient. Um, so, piece of hardware that we use here is a winch. Now, this one was free to me. My neighbor in Tennessee, good dude, used this to winch up his RC car track in his garage. He actually had a few of them, and he would lower the whole thing up and down. It was grand. It was really cool. He tore it all down. He gave me one of the winches and the controller for it. I didn't know what I was going to use it for. We packed it, we brought it with us. So I've attached it to a board here, a fly board, just to help keep it off the ground. And sometimes I'll grab it to steady. That is attached to a piece of heavy C-channel that I actually had my grinder mounted on. I drilled 2 holes in it, and I've got shackles front and back. Now the shackles are what attach to something like an other stump, a bigger stump to be able to pull from. So all the force is not on the winch, and it helps divide the loads out. So some of the force comes back through. We have a transit pulley, which here they use that to put something on a cable and send it across the river. We're using it as a snatch block. I've got a double pulley. The more lines you run out, the more mechanical advantage you get. Now this winch, it says is 2,000 pound rated. Yeah, so when it was brand new, on a super good day, with the wind at its back, no. Winches are rated at the bottom, where this wheel is smallest. Now once you put cable on here, that diameter grows. So it actually has to pull more cable per revolution, and it loses torque the more you get your cable. So it's rated for the bottom run of cable. Even then, I don't think it's 2,000 pounds. It might be 1,000 under perfect conditions. So again, more pulleys, you divide it down. Now, it's supposed to have 550 seconds cable. The only thing we can find here is 1/8 inch, which is it's underrated. We break it on occasion. It's also cheap. So this was the old cable. Gave us good service, pulled a lot of stumps. We're going to go ahead and switch it out to some new cable. And that'll magically appear on here. Now there is another option if you don't use it often, and I had this is mule line. It is no stretch. I'm not sure what it's made out of, some sort of synthetic fiber, but it winds on real nice. It doesn't have like memory and spool like the steel cable does. It doesn't have the little pieces that poke you when they break. Unfortunately, as soon as you exceed it, you hear the fibers start to go ding, 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 and it weakens. Or if it rubs anything under tension, the fibers break. If you're not going to use it a lot, this thing is awesome. I really love it. It's not even that expensive. You get a big chunk of it and spool it on here. It goes on and off super easy. It's pretty nice. Not so great on the round pulleys. This is flat. That's round. It ends up, the way it goes around, it stretches the sides more than the middle, stretches it out a bit. Again, if I was just going to carry this in a vehicle to emergency extract ourselves, which I might do, that probably goes in the kit. So, the whole thing's powered by our spare car battery. We make up these choker cables, which is a few clamps here and a shackle. The small one here is actually for anchoring it to a stump. So we will anchor it. This side is the pulling side. So that's it. I'm going to go ahead and re-spool the cable. It's been needing some new cable for a while, and we'll get it together. So when we talk about chopping the roots, we use a machete. It's just what we have taken around. This is a slightly heavier one. So you're just whacking through the top few inches of the thin kind of fibery roots that extend out. 2 to 3 foot from the tree is usually good. Now right here we're whacking at kind of a thicker one. That one's probably an inch, inch and a half in diameter. And then after we get through that, it's a pretty quick all the way around. This really helps release the tree. All right, so it's important with the steel cable that you spool it on under tension, which is basically somebody with gloves and tightly gripping it as it pulls in, or you drag a weight. I think it recommends like 200 pounds. And that's because the cable has a memory. And if Eli here lets go, that cable will just go and unspool and be unusable. We'll have to do it all again. All right, here we go. All right, so let's talk about forces involved. So as I said, we have cabled a big heavy stump. That's great. All of the force then is transmitted to there. Much of it goes through the steel underneath the winch. So when you come down and you count the cables, there's 4 cables in the current configuration. One of them goes to the winch. So 3/4 in the setup of the force is directly transmitted through to the steel, and only 1/4 to the winch. But we get the pulling effort of 4. So if we crank this little guy up to 500 pounds, we're really at 2,000 pounds. And we multiply it by the cheater angle we get from the postie down there, and it does pretty good. Okay, so we're securely anchored. We're running down through our pulleys, through our main cable. We're attached to our stump we're going to pull. We have cut our little machete cut around. Now, what I've done here is I've added a postie. And what that's done is that's changed the force from this way, which is pulling the root sideways through the earth, which is very difficult, to pulling it this way. So I'm going to lever. I'm going to lever the stump out this way. It has much less resistance. So again, I'm using a smaller winch. So this postie is one of the things that a lot of people miss out on. I've seen tires used, and the tires deform badly, and they're not very tall. Get yourself about a 3 or 4 foot piece of log. I cut a little notch in the top, and even on both sides there. That holds it real nice. All right, let's get. So here we are. We got it under tension. We got our post set, and we've macheted our roots. All right, go ahead. Do a little bit at a time. Keep going. All right. And there we go. Eli for scale. What did we use to get it done? Well, I used a $100, $120 winch from Harbor Freight. I used some cheap small cable. I used a pair of $10 pulleys, a machete, all pretty cheap stuff to be able to clear stumps from a home site. The important thing is to remember to use all the things that achieve the advantage. Cut the roots. Don't fight them. Just cut all the little stuff, and they're only 6 inches deep. It's all those little fine ones. Use the postie. The postie pulls the roots up and out. They don't resist that well. It just pulls them right out. Pulling them sideways is like, it's so much more force on the winch and everything else. We wouldn't have been able to do it. So get your advantage that way. Use a lot of pulleys if you have to. We only used the few lines we did because this wasn't a very big stump. This is a slightly bigger one we did. There's others. The more lines, the more pull. Archimedes said it, I believe. Give me a lever big enough and I can move the world. Those pulleys, those lines, the more lines you pull between, it's the magic of the ropes, as someone said. More you pull on more lines is more force. So the winch still only pulls, 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, like totally maxed out, times 4, times 6, times 8 if you have to. Don't stress out your equipment. Run, just get some bigger pulleys and run it that way. And there you go. Like we get it all done. We could go for hours on just a tiny little car battery. Me and the child could do it. Honestly, we had a lot of fun with it. He calls it some of his better days, like playing around, learning about forces and math and directions of things, and all of the aspects was a teaching moment as well. Like I use every bit of our work here as a teaching moment. Might as well. It's interesting to the kid, right? So that's our winching video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you catch us for the next one.